What if you took our pre-runner build, our Trail Boss, mixed them up and multiply it by about 0.9? Well, you get the best truck that Chevrolet has built in the last 2 decades or so. There's a war going on in the world of the midsize pickup truck. Toyota Tacoma, the Ford Ranger, the Chevy Colorado, and the GMC Canyon, and Nissan. Does Nissan still make a truck? It wouldn't matter anyways. And I swear, if one of you says Honda Ridgeline, I'm gonna dive headfirst through that freaking window. And across these midsize trucks, each of them has their respective top dog. Chevy here with the Colorado ZR2 AEV Bison Edition. Toyota has their Tacoma TRD Pro, and then Ford, obviously with their Ranger Raptor. Now the price point across these midsize trucks are not so midsize anymore. The Tacoma TRD Pro leading the way with a sticker-shocking $65,000 MSRP. Chevy Colorado kind of falling close behind at around a $60,000 MSRP. And in the Ford Ranger Raptor sitting around $56,000 MSRP. We can say the midsize pickup truck is not so midsize when it comes to price point, but neither is the size of them. Look at them. And this video is by no means intended to compare the Chevy Colorado versus all the other midsize truck options across the market. Because to be honest, I could really care less. I haven't once ever been interested in owning a midsize pickup truck. That is until we had the opportunity to drive this thing in the desert last November. We were some of the few that got the chance to try this thing out in its home intended built elements, which was an extreme off-road park in Johnson's Valley, which coincidentally is also the location they host King of the Hammers. And coming out of that experience, the best way that I could describe this truck was like having a side-by-side that has air-conditioned seats, a Bose sound system, coincidentally a pickup bed that can also tow as well. Now, I do have to note that that pickup bed is accompanied by a 35-inch mud-terrain tire wrapped around an AEV beadlock-capable wheel. That is all you see looking in your rearview mirror, but that's a big win, not a loss. This thing also happens to be enormous, even sitting next to our 2020 Silverado Trail Boss that's outfitted with several $1,000s in aftermarket modifications, including additional suspension lift, 35-inch tires with some wider wheels, and just being a full-size half-ton pickup truck. These two should not even be in the same ballpark when they sit next to each other, but they're nearly identical in height and width. They're pretty dang close. And despite all those awesome things about this midsize truck, there is one massive flaw that I absolutely hate. Because despite color, size, power output, there's one thing intangible that this truck can deliver that this one will never be able to. I say this time and time again. There's something unique about a V8 that cannot be replaced or replicated by anything. Turbocharger noises are cool. Supercharger whines are pretty epic. But the mechanical symphony you get as a result of 8 cylinders firing in a particular order, it's music. And I know for a certain number of you out there, it is to you as well. And no matter what you bolt onto a 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder engine, it can't replicate that tone or vibration. It normally makes no sense comparing a full-size truck with a mid-size. These are two different worlds, but the more and more I look at the two side by side, the closer they get, and it's a little weird. Number one is weight. The 2024 Colorado Bison, as it sits today, curb weight of 5,265 pounds. The 2020 Trail Boss, curb weight from factory, 5,100 pounds. Yeah, that little truck weighs more than that one from factory. But with the plethora of aftermarket goodies we have on the Trail Boss, from side steps, heavy bed cover, and heavier wheels and tires, these two trucks weigh the same. When it comes to power output, the Colorado puts out 430 pound-feet of torque, 2D383 out of our 5.3 in the Trail Boss. 355 horsepower to 310. So, same weight, similar power numbers, and I'm thinking what you guys are thinking. Which one's faster? Aloha is a great driver, but she doesn't race a whole lot. So here are the actual 0 to 60 numbers between these two. Something to also note is the Silverado does have the 10-speed transmission to the 8-speed in the ZR2. This one has a basic intake and exhaust system. Not going to increase power output by much, but it is something. Pretty interesting results. I expected this one to do better. And here's where some of the aftermarket modifications on the Trail Boss will come to play. We have 35 by 12.5 Nitto Ridge Grappler tires. On the Colorado Bison, 35-inch Goodyear Wrangler Territory MT tires. So both are sitting on 35s. The Colorado Bison from factory comes lifted 3 inches with a very capable suspension system. The 2020 Trail Boss comes factory 2 inches, and we added an additional 2 on top of that with a ReadyLift SST system. So lifted 4 inches, lifted 3 inches, both on 35s. Both trucks also have fancy off-road names. The Trail Boss, the Bison. Leave it what you will, I guess the cool animal names are already trademarked. The Trail Boss having the Z71 package means we have a few skid plates underneath to help with some of the more fragile bits, where the Colorado Bison is outfitted with boron steel skid plates under the entire truck. You could slide this thing down a mountain and it'd be just fine. Which we actually did in Johnson's Valley. These guys saved the truck quite a bit. So once again, these trucks, they're fairly similar when it comes to the price point. It's kind of weird as well. So the MSRP of the 2024 Colorado Bison is around $60,000. It's a hefty price tag to land for a midsize truck. The 2020 Trail Boss, when we bought it, again, this is before the world shut down and everything got really expensive, but I bought that truck brand new, I actually just found the paperwork for it. Believe it or not, we paid just under $45,000 for that truck. We negotiated, found a good price. But what's even funnier is if I add up all the modifications that are on the truck today, that lands around $17,000 in modifications, which means as that truck sits today, brand new plus mods, $60,000. Now, I didn't pay for all the modifications. Some of them were sponsored, but if I added up the value total, these two trucks weigh the same, put out similar power outputs, both land on 35-inch tires, they're lifted from factory, and both are around $60,000 to get what we have behind me. It's weird.
So the last time I was actually in this truck, I was in California test driving the models that they were just coming out with. So I have missed this truck. What you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Testing.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and hit record on that GoPro so you can reach that button.
Okay. Yep.
And it's recording?
Yep. We're heading over to my parents' house and we're kind of following them since the roads have been awful since the tornado flight through here not too long ago. This pickup's disputed it.
Did you just floor it?
Yes, I did.
So, mid-sized truck. So you drive a half-ton Silverado Trail Boss that's lifted with 35s, exhaust system, every single day. What's so cool about this truck?
It has a whistle. Put your foot on the gas. Whistle.
It's turbocharged. So the whistling you're hearing is the turbocharger putting in work. Also, if you are to floor it, prefer you not do it around the corner. Find a straightaway.
I like how the gauge cluster is also a digital screen now, and you can actually change it. One thing I still don't really care for are these circle air vents that stayed the same. Wasn't a fan of it from the beginning.
Wait, circle air vents?
Yes, there's circle things, and you just move this through. It's like your Camaro. They're in the Camaro. I do like all of these control comforts. Ventilated seat if you like, if it's too hot, because in Texas it is bloody hot.
You're driving essentially a ZR2 model of Chevy Colorado. What that is the top trim, top of the line, so it has all the bells and whistles that a Colorado would come with. Now AEV, or American Expedition Vehicles, this is where the Bison name comes from. Now AEV takes a bunch of their aftermarket goodies and did you just take off again?
Yep, always.
AEV takes all their goodies and slaps it on the truck on top of the ZR2 platform. So you have heated and ventilated seats, which you're seeing. You have a massive digital display, both directly in front of you as well as your infotainment. But one thing I do love about Chevy is they're keeping physical buttons to turn on your HVAC. So your heating, your cooling, fan speed, those are still physical buttons.
Another thing I do like about the Colorado, they still have a gear shift, like the actual shifter, instead of the turn knob. Yeah, it's not a button. I can't, oh, no, I don't like that one. You know, most people would like to look at their rearview mirror, but I really don't mind looking at a tire.
Having something completely blocking your rearward visibility from a factory truck. Okay, so I modify things, so I make them inconvenient on purpose, but there's something unique about them doing it from factory and giving it to you like it. There's something raw about it that I love. They could have easily outfitted the Colorado with a digital rear view mirror because they have them in every other freaking 2024 year car. Huge miss on Chevy, but I love looking in the rear view mirror and all you see in 80% of that mirror is a 35-inch mud terrain tire. I love it. Now the payload and towing capacity between these two is quite a bit different, this being a full-size truck and this being a mid-size truck, but everything else between these two is nearly identical. But the one big flaw and issue I have with the 24 Colorado Bison is right here under the hood. Really? $60,000 truck, it's got a hood prop. Come on. A turbocharged 4-cylinder in the Colorado is impressive. 430 pound-feet of torque out of 2.7 liters of motor. It's impressive numbers out of a little engine. But when it comes to industries being regulated by said organization, the automotive industry is one of the most heavily regulated industries out there. And from a consumer point of view, all I'm seeing in the newer and newer models is the displacement of the engines decreasing and adding forced induction, meaning turbochargers. Smaller engines, turbochargers making similar power. And the thing I love probably more than anything in this world is a good naturally aspirated V8. And those are dying, and it sucks. General Motors is home to one of the most iconic engines in history, the good old pushrod V8. Now, the only thing that this Colorado needs to be absolutely perfect, and I mean perfect, this truck is phenomenal in and out, but the one thing is missing is an 8-cylinder power plant underneath that hood. And I know we all asked for it, but let me tell you why it actually does make sense. So 2020 Silverado with the 5.3 liter pushrod V8 engine. Now that's a benefit, but here's why it actually makes sense. All of our driving is done on these backcountry roads. So not necessarily city, but not necessarily highway. But the important part is this truck and that truck have driven the exact same routes and 15.4 miles per gallon. And yes, that's pretty bad versus a stock trail, boss, but Colorado, 15.2 miles a gallon. Driving on the same roads, same condition, same routes. Worse mileage out of a 4-cylinder. Same weight of truck, same size of tire, 15.2 miles a gallon versus 15.4. The V8 is more efficient in my circumstance than the little 4-cylinder. So hear me out, General Motors. My V8 is killing less baby seals than our 4-cylinder here. So the solution? Drop an LS in a Colorado Bison and sell a bazillion units. Thank me later. And we can deal with the EPA later. No one likes them anyways. So all in all, guys, the 2024 Colorado Bison is a phenomenal truck, and I have actually been craving it ever since I drove it back in November. I'm so happy I got to spend a little more than a week behind the wheel. Am I willing to pay $60,000 for a mid-size truck? I don't know if I'm there yet. But as far as the capabilities of this truck, on-road, off-road, and just how fun it is, I think it actually commands that price point. General Motors has done a phenomenal job with this truck, and the fact that they convinced the leadership out there to allow them to put 35-inch tires on a factory mid-size truck, whoever got them to agree to that that, you're a legend. And I honestly think that Chevy has built an almost perfect truck with this latest edition of the Colorado. From the styling and design cues, the fun factor it has, and all the off-road capabilities, this is an epic truck. They just need to take it, multiply the size by about 1.1, make it a little bit larger, and obviously drop a V8 paired with a 10-speed transmission to power this thing. The 4-cylinder that's designed for efficiency does the exact opposite on this truck, and in theory, a naturally aspirated V8 would actually get better fuel efficiency, which should make the EPA happy, and all the gearheads around the world will smile. And heck, I'd be the first one in line to buy one of these bad boys, or even maybe we go get our own and make the V8 swap happen ourselves. At the end of the day, Chevy has all the tools in their kit they can use on this truck to make it the perfect truck, and they're almost there. Regardless, they did a good job with this one. Just needs a couple more cylinders. So the equation to a perfect truck in 2024 is very simple. It's Colorado times 1.1 plus V8 equals perfection. It's very straightforward. And on that note, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to smash that like button below. We have a full Dream Shop build series, as you can obviously see behind me, which means I'm jumping right back into it as soon as I stop this clip. Ahui ho, aloha.